Hello there. My name is Amber, and I'm 19 years old. I want to talk about how my cat ended up causing me to get pregnant.
Hello? Look, I feel like that's a very strong statement to start out with. Nonetheless, the cat is there in the corner. It looks quite happy, which makes me feel like this was more the cat's idea and not like a Shane Dawson situation.
I know that sounds really out there, but I promise you, it makes more sense if you keep listening.
You know what? I feel like it's absolutely not going to make any more sense as I keep listening, but she was self-aware about it. Anyway, hi, what's up? Today we're watching a true story animation. Apparently this is true. I'm not entirely sure how interspecies reproduction really works. I'm not sure if we're that advanced in terms of like technology yet, but I guess we'll see. Subscribe if you're into listening to weird stuff and I guess watching me be traumatized by it. Okay, let's go.
It's a bit of a crazy tale, but in the end, I think you'll understand why I made such a preposterous claim. I want to first tell the slightly crazy tale of my mother first, as unfortunate events seem to run in the family. For quite a long time, she was with a man named Jack. She absolutely was in love with Jack ever since high school, and they dated all through high school, and even a few years after that. My mother got a tip from one of her friends, however, that he was seeing someone else on the side. After another tip-off about another woman at his home, she walked in on him with another woman. Needless to say, she dumped him on the spot. Now the friend who tipped her off, his name was Mark. Mark and Jack had been close friends as well, so that was why he was able to find out about him seeing another woman. Mark was very kind to her, and consoled her through the sadness she felt at finding out Jack betrayed her.
Okay, but where does the cat come into this? You know what I mean? That's my question. Like, how do we go from, oh, my mother's having an affair, to somehow a cat got inside of my genitals?
It wasn't too long before they were both dating instead. Jack long forgotten by both of them. They were together for over 2 years, and they never had any problems together. Neither of them cheated on the other, they never fought or had arguments. It all seemed perfect. It was so perfect, in fact, that they wound up getting married. It seemed like my mother had found the perfect guy after her fallout with her cheating boyfriend. Things were never that perfect, however, and neither of them could have predicted what a jaded lover could do when scorned. Jack had started to plan a way to destroy their relationship in petty jealousness. My mother was at home one day, cleaning and doing other stay-at-home wife duties.
Guys, where does the cat come into this? Can you just get to, I hate how they string us along for the whole video. And then the last minute they're like, oh yeah, by the way, I accidentally did the dirty with my cat. Like, just start there.
Call on her phone. That call was from Jack, and she nearly hung up on him when she heard his voice. But he pleaded with her to listen to him. He told her that he wasn't calling to provoke her, but that his mother had wanted to see her. He made up some story about how his mother was showing early symptoms of dementia and was asking about her, apparently still thinking they were together. It sounds like a pathetic attempt at an excuse to me, but my mother still decided to head over to his house and see.
And where's the cat? I'll shut up and just sit back and enjoy the story, I guess. I'll stop talking about the cat now. Okay, let's go.
When she arrived at the house and knocked on the door.
Okay, but how do you expect me to not talk about the cat? The literal, like, title's my cat got me pregnant. That's a big claim!
Jack was the one to answer and let her in the house. Unsurprisingly, Jack's mother didn't appear to be there. When my mother turned to demand what Jack was playing at, he suddenly pushed against her and started to kiss her. After the initial shock factor had passed, my mother shoved him off and slapped him hard across the face. She stormed out of the house after that, fuming and outraged that he had devised such an elaborate plan to get her out to his house.
Jack does sound like quite the deviant. I wonder if Jack has something to do with this cat situation. Sorry, I said I would stop talking about the cat.
Wasn't sure what to do when she got home. She was unsure if she should tell Mark about what had happened or not. Jack hadn't done anything too bad to her, but it was possible he could become a problem in the future. She was still debating on when to tell him about a week later, but then she found out she was pregnant.
With a cat? You're talking about everything but the cat right now. Look, I know I said I would stop talking about the cat, but honestly, do you really expect me to? She got pregnant with a cat, guys.
The incident was pushed to the back of her mind as she started making plans with Mark about having a baby. Everything seemed happy again, but then Jack decided to completely destroy their relationship. He sent messages to my father with pictures of him and my mother together. From that day, he pushed himself on her. I guess he had hidden some sort of camera somewhere and taken footage from it.
Jack is a really bad man, you know. I feel like she should press charges. IDK though, it's just my opinion.
Conveniently cutting out the parts where she pushed him away. Mark was upset over this, and my mother desperately tried to explain to him what had really happened. He wouldn't listen to her though, apparently having already decided that he could no longer trust her. He began to doubt that the baby was even his.
Okay then, well I guess Mark isn't a good guy either, because if someone loved you that much, they would believe you.
Which it was, obviously, but he couldn't be reasoned with. My mom was about 5 months pregnant when they got divorced, and I'm sure Jack was so thrilled to hear about that. Still, my mother didn't go back to Jack, because now she despised him for sabotaging her marriage. She decided to stay single and get a job to support herself, refusing to let a man hold her back anymore. She gave birth to me months later, and she was living a stable life with a stable job, able to be a strong single mother. She was a strong female role in my life growing up, and it almost made up for the lack of a father figure in my life. We were happy. I was happy.
But you were missing a pet. You went to the pet store to get a cat. Turns out it was possessed and it did things to me while I was sleeping. Is that how it's gonna go? That's my prediction. I feel like I'm usually right.
Never had any siblings in my life, but I did have my cousin. My mother's sister came around a lot after my father left, preaching about how unreliable men were and how she didn't need a man. She always tended to bring her own kid, who was around the same age as I was, so I always saw my cousin as almost like a sibling, as we played together and grew up together. My cousin was always a great person to be around, and he was always so kind and conscious about me and how I was feeling. Things got a little weird when he told me one day, around the time we were teenagers, that he believed he loved me. I didn't understand at first because, yeah, I loved him too. He was my family, my cousin, but I didn't realize he meant beyond familiar love. I explained to him that I saw him like my brother, and that we were related, so it could never work even if I didn't.
Okay, I feel like maybe they spelled cat wrong in the title and it was actually meant to be cousin. This is a little Sweet Home Alabama, if you know what I mean. You know, I was kind of prepared for the cat thing, to be honest, which hasn't happened yet. I wasn't prepared for this.
I don't think he took it too well, but that was my stance on the matter. Things got tense between us, and we stopped hanging out as much for obvious reasons.
If any of my close relatives said that they were in love with me in more than the friendship way, I honestly think I would physically assault them to start with. But yeah.
17 when I met Lucas. I met him at the local pet shop, where I was picking up some wild bird seed. I enjoyed going down to the park and scattering seeds for the local wildlife.
Okay, I'm changing my prediction. Whatever his name is, Lucas? I don't know why. I'm not very good at names. Whatever. He was vibing with one of the cats, and one of the cats got some of its funky juice on. I think Lucas is his name. And then Lucas and the girl do some fun activities, and he gets some of the funky juice from the cat into her. And yeah. Okay, moving on.
We wound up exchanging numbers, and from then on, it was history. We met up all the time when we were both available, and I just absolutely adored him. He had these little dimples on his cheeks that would appear when he smiled, and I just couldn't resist his charm. When I graduated from high school, he showed up after the ceremony and presented me with a little kitten.
It's happening!
He was so cute, and the kitten was pretty adorable too. The kitten was a little ginger, scruffy little guy.
Sounds like Kayla's.
How could I not just love this man? That's why I said yes when he asked me to marry him.
Hold on, hasn't this been like 1 week? What?
Lucas had aspirations of becoming a veterinarian, unsurprisingly, and I was focused on getting my own higher education as well. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew exploring different college courses would help me find my way. It was because of this that we both decided to hold off on having any kids quite yet.
By the sound of it, the cat had other plans.
We're also pretty young, and we had all the time in the world to settle down and start a family when we were ready. I had originally started taking birth control pills, but it turns out the extra estrogen in them caused me to have severe migraines, and my blood pressure shot up. My doctor wound up taking me off of them, stating he feared I would have a stroke or develop a clot in my lungs. With that preventative out the window, we decided to just stick with the classic rubbers for prevention. They were quite effective anyway, so we thought it would be enough. My cousin had become a prominent issue in my life after I got married. He refused to let this infatuation thing go and harassed me and my husband all the time. He would constantly come over uninvited and cause a scene. Lucas was starting to become upset with me because of it, claiming that our relationship seemed too odd to be just cousins. I was annoyed that he would even think like that. but my cousin did have a weird kind of crush on me.
Isn't incest illegal? Like, could you technically report him or like file a police report or something, right? I don't know, I feel like it should be illegal.
But he should still trust me that nothing was going on. We tended to fight because of my cousin, and I honestly just wished he would just disappear from our lives. I loved him like family, but he was starting to interfere with my happiness and my new marriage. Everything just got worse when I found out I was pregnant.
They haven't really mentioned the cat as a prominent role in any of this yet, though. I'm getting concerned. There's 2.5 minutes left.
Then went ballistic, claiming it couldn't be his because we had been using protection.
Oh yeah, because that always works.
To accuse me of sleeping with my cousin and getting pregnant that way. I was so upset that he would assume the worst of me that I left the house in tears. My own husband couldn't trust that I wouldn't sleep with my own cousin. What a nightmare. I sat down at the park, where I usually feed the birds, trying to come up with how this could have happened. We had been using protection anytime we were intimate, so how did I wind up pregnant so soon? I kept puzzling over this until it was near evening, and I had to go back home. I decided to check the condoms we had. Maybe they had expired or something? When I dumped out the packages to examine them, I noticed little marks on the wrappers. I looked closer at them and saw they appeared to be little teeth marks that punctured the wrappers.
You really baited me in, huh?
I started to suspect that my cat had jumped on our nightstand and chewed them. I couldn't believe this was happening. I was being accused of cheating with my cousin when, in reality, the cat he had gotten me had unintentionally sabotaged our contraceptives. I wanted to cry, the absurdity of the circumstances nearly driving me to hysteria. At least I could prove to my husband that it was indeed possible that our contraceptives had failed due to a furry problem. I wound up going to my mother and telling her about everything that had happened. I don't think she quite believed me at first, but I showed her one of the condoms I brought with me.
I would literally rather die than talk to my mother about any of that stuff. It scares me that people talk to their parents about that.
This was a very real situation. She was sympathetic with my plight, having gone through a jaded lover destroying her own marriage. She advised that I forgive Lucas for his outburst and accusations, saying that she didn't want to see our marriage fall apart due to lies, like her own did. I understand that she only has the best in mind for me, but is that really what I should do? My own husband couldn't trust that I wouldn't hop in bed with my own cousin and make a baby when I had explicitly stated I didn't want kids right now. He hadn't even been home since the incident, but I was supposed to just forgive him for all of that? I do love him, but I don't know how we're going to get past this.
This has been the weirdest true story animation to date. Like, they just took me through a roller coaster of emotions. Like, bestiality, incest, everything. I feel really confused right now. I don't know how I feel about it. Please subscribe. If you haven't become a member of the channel already, you can click down below to join. And if you join the Mob Boss rank, you get special shoutouts and videos. Shout out to Alexis Solomon and Quinn Reddy for being epic mob bosses. Thank you so much for liking me and stuff. I'm gonna leave now though, so peace out.